This self-proclaimed alpha male went viral for charging $18,000 for a 75-hour boot camp designed to destroy the old version of yourself. But now he has a new venture where you can pay him a little over $2,000 so he belittles you and your son together. What a great deal. But after this alpha male boot camp got clowned on over and over again for its insane price tag and interesting promotional material, whatever that is, yeah, it's safe to say the $18,000 boot camp known as Modern Day Night Project closed its doors. Don't worry though, because the creator of this ridiculous program, Bedros, he runs 2 more crucibles, where he still is spraying people in the face with a hose all day. I mean, these days it feels like there's an alpha male lurking around every corner, hoping to exploit men's insecurities for financial gain. And let's face it, whether it's TikTok shop mouth tape, a bogus course on becoming your own boss, or an $18,000 weekend for being waterboarded in creative ways, these alphas are cashing in big time. But we're focusing on this guy today, Bedros, who actually does seem to be a successful entrepreneur from his fitness franchise called Fit Body Bootcamp. And looking at some of the gyms and their reviews, it seems like he's running a solid business here, and he really provides value to communities all around the States. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend every one of these guys are like a Wes Watson type that are just lying about their success, but I will talk about the buffoonery they do on the side by convincing a large group of men that for them to also be successful, they need to be spending $18,000 to LARP as a Navy SEAL. Because honestly, that's just a fascinating use of free will on both sides of the coin. And that's one of the ways Bedros built his coaching empire. I'm sure none of you are strangers to the alpha male bootcamp videos that went viral over the last few years, because those things are wild to watch, and I can only assume even more wild to attend. Not in a good way. I do not understand why anyone would ever want to pay money for someone to just sit and humiliate and torture you. Okay. But I guess it's just purely for the LARP. It's for the people who don't really have time to join the Navy SEALs, but do want to wear matching shirts and being yelled at by retired military vets. But obviously those videos went extremely viral, mainly for the reason that people did not understand why someone would ever pay $18,000 to get sand thrown in your face and get waterboarded by a garden hose. But believe it or not, from 2019 to 2024, they ran 20 sessions of the Modern Day Night Project. And while it's not confirmed that they stopped doing it because of all the negative publicity, it ended only a few months after multiple large YouTubers came out with videos clowning on them.
All right, everybody, quick update about Project Class 020, Class 20. Inside my gym, you can see the floors are still wet from sweat. They did the 302. During the 302, one young man gave up. And ring that bell right over there. The reason he gave up is not because he was physically unable to do the 302. He gave up because he was mentally had given up. He had negotiated his way out already during the 302. So other than that, everyone else will be walking in here in just a minute and the project will kick off. In the meantime, remember, mental toughness, emotional toughness, physical toughness, all go together.
What's sad here is you can kind of assume that a lot of these guys joining these programs were probably already struggling with their self-confidence. And I'm sure reading comments and watching the videos about how lame you are for paying someone to do something like this to you was definitely not helping the situation. But I think something that a lot of people did not realize was that Bedros didn't really stop these overpriced alpha camps. He just kind of got a little bit more creative with them, which brings us to the crucibles. 2-day single events that claim to give you pretty much exactly what the Modern Day Night program did, aka the $18,000 alpha male boot camp, just faster and for quite a lot less money, which isn't saying much because the Misogi challenge and the Squires project still cost $1,500 and $1,900 respectively. But what's really crazy about both of these programs is they actually existed before 2024, but it feels like they became Bedros' main focus after the whole Modern Day Nights thing kind of got clowned on over and over again by the internet. But I'm going to start with the slightly less insane one because that's how we build things up here. And it's still geared towards insecure adults instead of their children. Yes, you heard me correct, but we'll get into that later on because the whole children thing, that's a little... We'll get into it. But for now, enter the Misogi challenge.
What is the Misogi? It's a Japanese purification ritual. The beautiful thing about the Misogi is you cleanse away the old version of you when you go through a period of suffering.
Imagine spending over $1,000 on that. Bedros has historically branded all of his programs in a sort of medieval theme. Modern day knight, squires, and all this revolves around the common alpha mindset that men were tougher hundreds of years ago when all had terrible hygiene and were dying of now curable diseases. But before the Misogi project, Bedros decided that he needed a new culture to appropriate, I guess, and he settled on Japan for some reason. Actually, I think the reason is he probably read this article and I guess just realized he could repackage another culture's personal growth challenge and charge over $1,000 for it. So that's good old American capitalism, baby. Bald eagle, American flag, yeah buddy. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love our culture, but I digress. A misogi, it's a traditional Japanese Shinto ritual for purification of the mind, body, and spirit, but in recent years, it evolved into the Misogi Challenge, where the concept is that you do one really hard thing a year, like a marathon or a polar plunge or anything basically, just giving yourself an outlandish goal to complete once a year to help you build confidence in your own abilities. That in itself makes a lot of sense, but what doesn't make sense is paying $1,500 for someone else's version of it when you could just decide to do it for free right now or whenever. But hey, $1,500, you think that's too expensive? I guess it's just your limiting beliefs, bro, because literally on the site they have, the price is too much, I can't afford that. You're right, you can't. The price is too much because you're thinking way too small. That's a problem because you're meant to do big things. And this Misogi challenge, it'll help you remove the BS out of your head that's stopping you from playing in the big leagues. If you want to play in the big leagues, you better be taking this water hose to the face. You heard me, young man? So let us help you stop playing in the minor leagues. Somehow I feel like that just sounds like a distorted version of a BMW salesman. You see this M3? It could be yours, but your mind's stopping you. All you gotta do is sell a course or two. Actually, buy this right now and then use this bad boy to sell a course. You just gotta think outside of the box, bro. I feel like if you sell courses, you're in the minor leagues if you have an M3, and then you're like the major league course seller, bro, they have a Lamborghini Urus. That's like the hierarchy of course sellers. And then you have like the pinnacle of absolute shenanigans of, that's when you buy a hypercar from Cario Motors. But I digress from the course seller's hierarchy. So obviously there is no shortage of people willing to pay any amount in hopes of expediting their mental and emotional healing and kickstarting their success. And even though Bedros' Misogi challenge, it does allow women, it seems to be more alpha man dude energy here.
My job today is to make you squeal like a mother pig. That's what's gonna happen.
I want to get some feedback in terms of what your expectation was and what your experience is like.
I expected to throw up, and I threw up. And,
Okay. We met your expectation.
I wonder why. So now that we've gone through the Misogi challenge, now for the one that makes me go, what's going on here? Why are we doing this, guys? Because Bedros also runs this squire program where fathers can bring their sons and turn them into men by almost drowning them. Because nothing says this is what it means to be a man than paying someone close to $2,000 to belittle you and your son. It's giving divorced father energy, saying, hey son, I know I wasn't present, but now I just spent $2,000 to turn you into a man. I know it's not funny, but that's kind of the energy I'm feeling here. Like, come on. What happened to playing catch or engaging with your kid through hobbies and interests? Like, sure, some kids might feel lost or even weak, but why don't you engage with them? Sign them up for a sport, be there with them, go camping with them, teach them how to change a tire. Actually, side note, like, I'm pretty sure every kid goes through a phase where they feel lost and weak. At least I did, but that's a part of the journey. And the solution isn't to have your son cry in a father-son ice bath with you. And this is also like all while like some alpha male is like screaming in your guys' face to like, I guess, tolerate this. Because this is just wild. I'm like 4 seconds into this ad. We have a second chance at a father-son relationship.
No matter what your experience was, we have a second chance at a father and son relationship.
You know, I said it's giving divorced dad energy. Yeah, after watching 4 seconds of this trailer, it's definitely giving divorced dad energy. All right, let's tolerate more than 4 seconds here.
And this time is when we are the fathers. A man has the duty and obligation to raise a son who is capable and confident so that he may be an asset to society and not a liability.
I'm like 6 seconds in now and I already had to start. We are the fathers? Like, what do you mean? No, the father's the father here. Is this like, oh, hey, I'm gonna pay almost $2,000 to have someone else be daddy for me and my son? Like that, looking over you and your miserable son in an ice bath? Check. So this is like 75 hours of microdosing random things, like what, rope pulling, jujitsu. Like just sign your kid up for jujitsu at this point. This is like trying to microdose some adversity for a bunch of kids who went to private school, but it's only for 75 hours or whatever. Obviously, I could play hours of videos of men in all ages carrying sandbags up a hill and crawling through the mud and sitting in ice baths while being screamed at, but I mean, I think you guys get the picture. The concept across all of these programs is essentially the same. Mainly, men pay a large amount of money to have some self-proclaimed alpha male berate them while exhausting themselves physically, mentally, and emotionally so that by the end of the day, they feel like they've actually accomplished something. Even though this is just essentially like a glorified beep test. But I guess I see the point of it. Like, it's hard to think about your day-to-day stress when you're focused on not inhaling water from a garden hose 2 feet from your face. So yeah, like I bet a lot of these guys do leave these retreats feeling like they got what they paid for. And look, I'm not going to pretend that working out and pushing yourself to your limit and forming bonds with your peers are bad things. But I mean, you could just as easily, I don't know, join a martial arts club or a gym or a run club or a CrossFit gym and get essentially a lot of the same environment minus the matching shirts and initial shaming. Like Bedros himself admits that he was struggling with balancing everything in his life, his business, his fitness, and being there for his wife and kids. It got so bad that he apparently suffered panic attacks so intense that he visited a doctor assuming it was a heart attack. But do you know what he did to solve that? Instead of an expensive version of LARPing his Stanley yell nuts from holes for 12 hours, he did a 16-month stint of a legitimate therapy. Yeah, apparently our alpha male here didn't even solve his own problems the way he's telling other men to do so. Bedros worked over a year with a licensed professional to address his underlying trauma and heal himself, but also has the nerve to tell people to don't cut any corners here and try to jam all of that into a 12-hour scream session with garden hoses and sand being thrown at you.
As far as I'm concerned, you have what it takes.
Go.
Oh yeah.
We did not cut corners on you. We pushed you, we challenged you, we tested you, and you delivered.
But obviously, telling people to go get therapy isn't as profitable. So Bedros keeps creating expensive boot camps so people can convince themselves they've healed in a day, or worse, that they need to pay that much more than once, because a lot of the people in the testimonials admit that they're repeat boot camp offenders. But like I said, a lot of the stuff they're doing here in these camps you can do for free or for a fraction of the cost. Martial arts, cold plunging, basic body weight exercises, like these things are things you could do daily, and they would most likely be beneficial to your health. These quote-unquote alpha males want to convince you that they have some secret that you can also be in on for a price, but are saying the quiet part out loud. If you feel anxious, lost, or hopeless, talk to someone, ideally a legitimate therapist. And if you want to feel fulfilled and accomplished, more capable and confident, just set goals and work towards achieving them. Doesn't matter how big or how small they are, because the answers are from within. Hence why good therapists don't tell you what to do. They ask you questions until you unravel everything within yourself. And obviously, that is infinitely easier said than done. But if you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. And hey, if you guys want to get the best tasting sugar-free lemonade ever, you can go to gamersubs.gg/Atozy in the description down below. And if you don't believe me that it's the best tasting sugar-free lemonade ever made, you can literally get a free sample from me with free shipping if you use code Atozy. So, and you don't even have to enter your credit card details or any other information than your shipping. You get free shipping and you get free lemonade. If you don't believe me that this lemonade right here is the best sugar-free lemonade that I've ever had in my life. Some people be like, yo, the size is tiny, dog. How is this thing $40? Well, it's 100 servings because the spoon is tiny. You see, this is all you need. This is all you need for a cup of lemonade. I've already drank it. Gamersubs.gg/Atozy, link in the description down below in the pinned comment. And if you do end up buying something there, it really does support the channel. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.